Today we're diving into my portfolio and I'm going to share which coins are in there. And I'm sure you guys have a portfolio as well. And if you do, would you like me to make a public portfolio which we can update on a bi-weekly basis? Leave it behind in the comments beneath. Now it's time to get started and discuss my portfolio and my altcoins. Before we start, this video includes my personal portfolio. I don't have any partnerships or sponsorships with any of the coins that are in my portfolio, but of course I do have a personal interest because I've done my research and I've chosen to have these coins in my portfolio, so I'm slightly biased, I would say. But overall, portfolios can be depending on your own preferences, and what I mean by that is you can have different risk appetite. So you either want to have more Bitcoin or ETH in your portfolio. You can have different preferences when it comes to the significant verticals that are in there. So you could be having a portfolio in terms of gaming, deep in, DeFi, metaverse, NFTs, call it whatever you want to call it. And it might be quite overwhelming at this point. And that's why we've got the consultancy where we build a portfolio for you. So reach out to us. You can find the link in the description beneath and just ask us your questions regarding your portfolio, because we are here to help and we want to guide you through the bull cycle. Now, talking about the portfolio, there's something that I need to share, which is in May, we went all into altcoins. Great stuff. Again, we lost a lot of money. That's part of the game. I actually called myself before I did it. I said, I'm going to be too early because I'm always too early. And again, I was too early. So it was great having a summer eating hamburgers, noodles and rice. As again, we've lost a lot of money during that period as altcoins were going extremely downward, more than we wanted it to be. And especially as we've made another video where we changed a lot of things. So we didn't have any old altcoins in there anymore. Actually, we swapped a lot of coins like Chainlink into newer coins because I generally believe that this is going to be the final easy cycle to make a lot of return. And in a period as a easy cycle, you want to be into newer coins that are likely going to do better. So that's why I invested into coins that have a new technological perspective, but I didn't know that we were going to fall even more with these coins. But I do know that newer coins with lower market caps have more risk. So it's kind of part of the game. I think that if you're down 50 to 70%, which I've been going at some point, that is part of the game, which means that if you can't handle a 60% correction, you don't deserve a 10 to 15 or even more X on your portfolio. So I take it. I know that it's part of what I can do and part of the risk that I take. My thesis is still unchanged. I still believe that a lot of these projects that I have in my portfolio are going to do great. So yeah, it happened and you all have been laughing at me. I still am here. I'm still surviving. I'm still having a portfolio. The question is, what's my game plan? So let's discuss that in the next topic. What is my game plan going forward? I'm fully into altcoins, as I said, and I think that the coming period is going to be great for altcoins. And there are a few important narratives that we are looking at. And theoretically, I want to make more Bitcoin as I'm a trader. But I'm not a day trader anymore, which I used to be in the previous cycle. And I just evaluated how the previous cycle went. I've been day trading a lot. I've been building a company myself. And because I was trying to do both in a very focused way, neither of the two were going well. So either you need to choose be a full-time day trader and focus on that, or be a business owner and focus on that. So I quit day trading because I also saw that in the previous cycle, my highest returns were created by having a swing trading approach where I invested into Veracity, Matic, Phantom at a very early stage in the cycle. They all went ballistic and started to cash out. So day trading is definitely something that you can be doing, but the returns can be easily made by swing trading and positioning yourself well through allocation-based trading into altcoins. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be swing trading the altcoins where my expectations are that we can have runs of 100 to 500% on an altcoin, and then they correct by 50 to 70% at that point. So I want to trade them actively, compound my returns, and I think that in the coming period, altcoins are going to do well. First of all, the global liquidity is going to be increased. China is currently increasing liquidity already as their economy is in a very rough period, where also the USA is likely going to increase the liquidity, which they are already doing by the treasury bonds that they have been buying back, which we call a repo. So overall, that's very cyclical. And if you go back in the charts, then you can see that every time when the liquidity is going to be expanded, that's the period where altcoins are doing great. Additionally, Bitcoin, whether you like it or not, is bottomed out. We've had a test of $48,000. We had a retest at $53,000. And it's very likely that we continue to go upwards from here as the hash rate has been breaking towards new all-time highs and price starts to follow through. There's also a very important chart that has been created by Raoul Paul's team, where you can see that the liquidity is likely going to expand in the coming period. And if you draw a line above or on top of that, you can see that Bitcoin is just following the path of liquidity, which means that we likely expect Bitcoin to reach 90 to 100K in the last quarter of this year. And if that happens, and if we get towards the breakout above an all-time high for Bitcoin, then altcoins are in that stage where there's more confidence in the markets, where altcoins are super undervalued. A lot of important releases are going to be provided, and from there altcoins are starting to do way better than Bitcoin. And that is what we are already seeing in the markets at this stage, where I think that the second thesis is that EigenLayer is going to go live, driving a new narrative of restaking, modular blockchains, and just infrastructure, where I think that because EigenLayer is a liquidity protocol where they use the liquidity of Ethereum staking for other protocols built on top of Ethereum to secure that blockchain as well, that is actually going to activate anything or everything within the Ethereum blockchain to start doing really well. So I think combining these two makes me super confident of being all into altcoins. My portfolio is extremely high risk, so don't pin me on that. I mean, I'm fully into altcoins. I don't have Bitcoin, I don't have Ether, and I wouldn't advise you to do the exact same, because you need balls of steel to survive any correction as we have been witnessing, and you need to actually survive the volatility. So I wouldn't advise doing that. But in my portfolio, I've got 4 large altcoins and 4 smaller altcoins. And the question is, how would you classify small and big? I think overall by fundamental thesis. So which bigger coins are a must to be having in an entire modular blockchain space, and which smaller versions do have a bigger version, but can potentially outperform the larger one. That's basically how you would be classifying this. So I'm sharing which coins are in my portfolio. I'm not sharing how I'm trading those, and I'm not sharing when I'm rotating, but I'll be making updates at some point. And I asked you in the beginning of this video if you would be liking a public portfolio. But regarding the rotations of a portfolio is because narratives change. So you can have a case that currently DeepIn is going to do well, but in 3 months DeepIn might be overheated and you want to rotate towards DeFi or newer coins that are coming out. So I generally have a thesis of having a position into altcoins for 3 to 6 months, and then I'll just see whether I want to keep it in my portfolio or whether I want to have a lower amount of risk. Now, let's discuss which coins I have in my portfolio, and I'll start with the 4 biggest ones that I have in my portfolio. First of all, I think it's not a strange one to have in the portfolio, but it is optimism. Optimism is basically my safest play, where it's a layer 2 on top of ETH, has shown the most power in terms of price action, and it is also going to have a substantial impact through the release of EigenLayer at this point or in the coming period. So I think that if your thesis is that Ether is going to do great, you want to be into Ether ecosystem coins, especially if EigenLayer is going to have such a positive impact. And then you want to be into must-haves. And in that case, Optimism is the one, because the most traction goes to Optimism, best performing price action, and also the most apps are being built on top of it. So that is a straightforward one. The second one is combined with the modular blockchain space is Celestia. And Celestia is a VC coin, I know. It has been going down extraordinary from above $10 back to $3. It has been seeing a substantial correction. The VCs are still in profit. But the thesis that Celestia has of creating a modular blockchain space where everything is connected with each other, can talk to each other, is theoretically where we're going to head to. And there's no competitor at this point. There is a smaller one, but it's not really performing. So the fact that it has been seeing such a full retrace is a case where you want to be positioned into it. And I think that Celestia is a top 20 coin at the end of this cycle. The third one is another top 20 coin, which is combined with AI. And it has been seeing a heavy correction as it went to $1,000, close to the listing on Binance. And since then it was down only, which is BitTensor, or we call it Tau. I think that the technology behind Tau is just as great as Celestia is as a use case, where this is one of the coins that are going to do a rally to the top 10 to top 20, and that might be even 20 to 30x from here. So that's another big one that you should be having in your portfolio. The fourth and last one is Ethereum name services, which I would say is a high beta play. Ethereum name services has partnered with PayPal of integrating ENS in PayPal, where you can do transactions. It is connected with GoDaddy, so you can just buy a .ens domain name where you can connect your wallet to, where I say, hey, I've got michael.ens. I send it to you and you can transfer any coin that you want through the Ethereum blockchain to me instead of the complicated MetaMask 0x blah 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 wallet address. So if Ethereum starts to do well, then ENS is, if you look at the data, is just going to outperform ETH. So that is a very standard one to have. Now those are the biggest ones. And then we have 4 smaller ones, which are super small in terms of beneath 500 million market cap and might go to 0 or to 100. Basically nothing in between. 2 are identical. The first one is Renzo. And if your thesis is that EigenLayer is going to do great, then you want to be into EigenLayer plays. And Renzo is currently valued at less than 50 million in terms of market cap, but has a TVL of 1.4 billion. If you look at Ondo is currently a market cap of 10 billion and the TVL is 500 million. So it's completely the opposite, where a general valuation of having such a big TVL would be between 500 to 700 million. So I think that Renzo is one of those coins that can have a flywheel going upwards. Question is, it's a VC coin. When are the unlocks going to be taking place? Not until 2025. The second one is another EigenLayer play, which is Omni. Omni is comparable to Renzo. It's another restaking protocol, and it has a market cap of less than 100 million with a positive TVL. And there is also no unlocks going to take place until the midst of 2025. The third one is Rocket Pool. I've been discussing this one in my updates, and I think generally you could have Aave and Compound in your portfolio, but I take more risk. So I take a new coin that is fully diluted, that has a smaller market cap. And for Rocket Pool, it's a DeFi protocol. It is less than 300 million, actually close to 200 million in terms of market cap. It is fully diluted, so there is no VC taking profits or selling on us, and it has a TVL of more than 4 billion. So you can see that everything with DeFi and Ethereum is super undervalued at this point, as this multiplier is still there, where I think that Rocket Pool is also likely going to do a 5 to 6x before it goes back into equilibrium. The final one is Aevo, which is, I think, one of the best DEXs out there. It's the go-to DEX if you want to trade on the prediction markets, but is also the most used one at this point. Fully diluted, Binance listing, VCs have been selling, less than 500 million market cap, super straightforward play where the all-time high is already a 10x from here. So I think that having these 8 coins in your portfolio is super risky, and I'm fine with that, but can also potentially generate a giant return for your portfolio. My prediction for the upcoming years for the cryptocurrency markets is that we're going to the moon. It's very simple, but that is likely what we're going to be having. And I think that if you have an altcoin portfolio at this point, it's super hard to identify how fast and how high we're going to go, especially if you have never been going through any of these cycles. Luckily, I've been going through multiple. So I know that in 2017 and in 2021, what the markets have been doing, how fast these can reverse. And if you go back in this cycle, you can see that in 2023, we had a substantial run already. However, the markets have been giving back everything, and we've seen that in 2019 and 2020 as well. But during the first stage of this year, and at the end of 2023, Sai did a 10x, Celestia did a 10x, Sui has been doing really great as well. So multiple coins started to wake up and have been getting a tremendous return in terms of market perspectives. And we were not even in a bull cycle. We were not having added liquidity from institutions. That came later. We did not have any hype, nothing. So I think that in terms of predictions for the coming 5 to 6 months, if the markets are doing the exact same thing as what we have been seeing in the previous years, then these returns are likely to be expected from the smaller coins, and the bigger coins are likely going to do anything around a 5 to 6x. We are going to be having a lot of deep corrections into that stage, but I think that at this point we had an over excessive correction taking place on the markets where the valuations are super low, especially when you look at the DeFi protocols that are currently only having a number of 0.1 compared to the TVL. So in that aspect, I think in the next 6 months, this portfolio might do close to a 10x, but I'm not going to be holding these coins until eternity. What I'll be doing is trading actively through swing trading, and I'll be rotating towards newer coins where I want to be repositioned going into another run. And what I'll also be doing is that when I have these returns, I'm going to take profits and swap that to more risk averse coins. So I'm not going to do this another time, but at this point I'm very happily positioned entirely into altcoins. And I think it is the strategy of making a substantial return in the markets. Thank you very much for watching. It was my first portfolio update in a long time. Did you like this? Let me know in the comments beneath. I'll be back with an educational video next week regarding our upcoming recession. Ciao!